Hi, everybody. I'm Carrie Lake, and today what I'd love to share with you is a bit about how our energy affects the animals in our world, our pets, even the birds and the bunnies that we see outside, anybody that we might encounter. Your energy is felt by the animals and by all living things. So I want to share with you a little bit of insight about what that means, what are the animals feeling, and how you can know yourself, how you can navigate your relationships with the animals in a way that benefits everybody. So where I'll start with this is sharing with you the major difference between animal awareness, animal consciousness, and human consciousness. There's a lot about the animal kingdom and humanity that functions the same way, that functions very similarly. But there's a major difference, and that is that animals have never had the opportunity to go against their own nature. In other words, they can't pretend there's something they're not. Humanity is unique in the ability to question and doubt who we are. Humanity is unique in our ability to feel one thing, say another, and act a third way. For example, when you're in a room with somebody, or you're with a friend, or whatever the situation is, and you can just know and you feel and sense that there's something off with them. And you say, "Hey, are you okay?" And they say, "I'm fine." And they smile. Yet you know that there's something there that isn't fine. You feel it. What's happening there is you are sensing that human using their ability to go against their nature. And as you sense that and acknowledge that that's what you sense, you are actually using the aspects of yourself that are much closer to the animal kingdom. When you acknowledge the senses that you're aware of, and it's even going beyond trust. It's actually acknowledging, you know what, that person is saying that they're fine, but they're actually not. And actually it feels like anger or frustration or sadness. When you acknowledge that that's what you actually sense, you are using the same innate system that acknowledges your true nature the way the animal kingdom acknowledges their true nature. So when we are around the animals, they are sensing in us what's actually going on. So if I have had a hard day and I am up in my head and feeling angry and feeling frustrated and trying to process what happened that day and what I'm going to do the next day, the animal kingdom is going to experience your energy as, I guess dissonant is a good word. They are going to feel the energy of the anger and the frustration, even if you come home and say, "I'm fine, let's go out and let's play." Animals experience your presence. They feel what's actually true. Even if we, as humans, are going against ourselves and denying and saying, no, I'm fine, it'll be fine, the animals feel what's actually true. Now, there's another difference that goes along with not going against your own nature. And we're just going to call that judgment. The animal kingdom does not live in judgment of this energy that we feel. Humans, if we go against ourselves or go against one another, we have the ability to judge that and say, oh, this is bad. But then look what happens. If I say this is bad, then my energy changes. And then if my energy changes and I say, oh, this is bad, my energy kind of comes down a little and gets more depressed and a little more dense, then that changes my presence. And I can say, oh, that's bad, but I'm fine. And you know, can you see how there starts to create fluctuations in energy? Well, the animal kingdom, when they feel those fluctuations in humans, they're going to just watch and go, okay, that's what's going on. And they're going to bring love anyway. The animal kingdom isn't sitting over here going, oh, it's so terrible. I can't believe you're doing that. You know, that's a human thing. And humans will project that onto animals often, but only because in the background, they're judging themselves. The animals experience your presence exactly as it is, without judgment. So when we're communicating with animals, when we're around them, when we want to have the greatest relationship with them, truly, the greatest way to go forward and invite health and wellness for your animal is to be honest with yourself about what you feel. The animals are going to come into your space and share love. And they will absolutely feel when you are a bit conflicted with yourself. They don't experience you as a bad person. They experience conflictedness. And then they don't judge it. They show up anyway and say, there you are. I'm so happy you're here. Bring on the biscuits because I love eating those. And you love feeding them to me, right? The animal kingdom is going to feel your energy, but not judge it. So in having a brilliant relationship with the animals in your world, how much can you let yourself notice what you actually feel and just acknowledge it? Because here's the other thing. A big part of what animals are in our lives is the opportunity to open our hearts again, to remember what love feels like. Because when they step into our world, they step in with no judgment. They step in with tons of love. And when we're available, that love is that vibration, because we can feel their presence as well, which is why animals can feel so therapeutic for us. We can feel that love. And when we acknowledge that we can feel and sense that frequency and presence of love, that lets our animals feel acknowledged and seen and received and loved. It's using our innate ability, the same innate ability that animals have, to simply sense what's actually here. No different than an angry person who says they're fine, but I can sense there's something else going on there. When I let myself acknowledge what I actually sense, that brings me closer to my true nature. Same thing with animals. When they show up with love and I sense it and I can feel that love opening my own heart, when I acknowledge it, it brings me closer to my true nature. The more humans repress what they actually feel, the more humans try to micromanage their own emotions and their own senses, or try to micromanage what other people think about our own feelings and senses. It puts so much pressure on what's actually happening, and it actually amplifies the sensations of conflict. Repression amplifies conflict. So when we, as humans, we come home and we try to pretend everything is okay, what the animals experience is everything that's conflicted underneath the pressure of being okay. And that's when we start to see anxiety. That's when we start to see health problems. That's when our animals will start to show behavior that says very simply, here's how this feels. This is how it feels right now. And maybe it's a lot of scratching, and maybe it's barking. Maybe it's hiding. Maybe it's pulling hairs for kitty cats or plucking feathers for birds. Maybe it's just scattering. But when people have a whole lot of emotions and conflicts, but we're pushing them down, the animals feel that conflict amplified. So here's the thing, and humans feel it that way too. But the way through it is crazy simple and so compassionate and so gentle and very simple. To assist our animals and to be closer to them in our senses and in our relationships, all it takes is the willingness and courage to be aware of what we actually feel. So if I had a bad day and I'm feeling angry because so-and-so said this and then that person reacted this way and they said it was my fault and now, right? The way through it is to just acknowledge, this is what I feel. You don't have to barf it out on anybody. You don't have to spray it. But when you truly acknowledge it and just say to yourself, yes, this is actually what I feel. You can feel the frustration. You can feel the anger. You can feel the happiness. You can feel the joy. You can feel sadness. You can feel grief. You can feel those combinations of sadness and awesomeness because something uncomfortable happened, but it opened a whole new door. But simply acknowledging, yes, this is what I feel, starts to lift all of that pressure. The animals experience that as space opening up, and you'll see them when you begin to acknowledge what you actually sense and feel. You're going to see the animals show up and go, there you are. And you're going to feel them connecting with you. It doesn't take a whole lot of, you don't have to go through a bunch of therapy and upheaval. It's very, very simply just admitting, yep, this is how I feel. I'll give you a quick example. A lot of people who play with horses, they have horses or they ride, keep themselves around horses because it just feels so good to be around horses. Horses are an amazing presence. And if you haven't spent time with them, you might give it a try. You just go be somewhere where horses are allowed to be who they are, not necessarily in a little box stall, although there too, horses will share love from wherever they are. Anyway, I digress. But a lot of times people, and girls especially, but not just girls, will go, when they're feeling a lot, they'll go to be with their horses and they'll just stand there and cry and tell their horse how they feel. Now, doing that and just being with the horses and admitting to them, this is actually how I feel, opens all sorts of channels to move through it and beyond it. It's no different, for some people it's dogs. For me, it was definitely horses. I would just go and be next to a horse, and that would help me be okay recognizing what I was actually feeling, especially when it was really intense and really uncomfortable. A human's courage and willingness to be aware of what we actually feel and just admit it. That's it. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to fix it. But simply admitting it lifts the pressure. And the animals begin to experience us as if we're available for love again. So they pour on the love. There's times when we have so much pressure on ourselves, and the animals run in the other direction, and we think, oh great, they don't even love me. Well, all the animals are communicating is, this is how it feels. They're not saying you're bad. They're not saying I hate you. They're not saying you need to get it together. That's human interpretation. On a very, very simple level, animals are always communicating, here's how it feels to be me in this situation. Here's how it feels to be me in this ambiance. And there's, endless other details that can come from that. But that's the foundation of how we can listen to animals and communicate with them, is by first receiving what they're saying as them simply communicating, here's how it feels to be me in this situation. And then give them the same gift that they give us, which is the absence of judgment. I'm not going to judge how they feel. They don't judge how I feel. And that can lead to not judging yourself. It's one of the major gifts that the animal kingdom has for us, is to know and remember how it feels to be absent of judgment. So, very simply put, let your animals love you. Take the chance to really see what that feels like as you. And give yourself the opportunity to get to know yourself the way your animals know you. It's a totally different world, and it's so gentle. Sometimes intense, but life can be intense and gentle at the same time. Don't take my word for it. Try it out. And if you need assistance walking through some of this or having the clarity, I have on my website, which is carrylake.com, there are a couple of audio series on there. There's a 2-hour teleconference that's about energetic work, listening and healing with animals. And I do one-on-one work that is guidance, teaching, healing for all species. So be in touch with me if you would like to know more. Everything that I teach and everything that I share is harmonized with the animal kingdom, because they're the ones who showed me initially how to see these things in myself. And I take that knowledge and wisdom and all of those gifts and present them to you through tools and guidance and awareness that becomes very pragmatic and real and relevant in your own world. So my website is carrylake.com, and come and play, because operating this way, kind of the whole point from my heart is guiding humanity to be in harmony with all of life. It is humanity's nature to be in harmony with life. And I know it because I experience it, and I'd love to share that with you. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the talk today, and I will look forward to hearing from you and playing and sharing. And have a beautiful day, my friends. Thank you for walking your walk with such grace and courage.